ndio wanamtukana kusema hii mama aende. Wale alilipa mshahara. It is like that. So wewe ukiwa katika uongozi lazima ukue na roho kubwa. Sisi tunasikiaga mambo mingi sana. Sisi iko watu wengi sana tuliombea kura. Tukaombea kura. Tukaenda mara 5 mara 6 kuwasaidia. Siku hizi utasikia wanakutukana. You know? Lakini uzuri nayo hii kura inaendaga tu miaka 5. Si ndio? Si itakuja? Si itakuja. Sasa wewe tu si yule alikusaidia. Siku itafika ukihitaji yeye unasikia simu iko mteja. And as we prepare tukienda hii uchaguzi tunaenda. Hii uchaguzi itakuwa kali sana. Najua mimi ni mtu ya kusikiza ground. Some serious decisions have already been made. By this December, ulisikia nikisema siku nilikuwa Inoro. By this December, decisions will have been made on who is coming back and who is going home. And after December, you cannot change anything. So wale wamepotea njia between now and December, ujaribu kufanya nini? Coordination. Na mimi ni mtu ya ground, mimi nasikiza sana. I always listen to the people, but what I know is that watu wetu wamerefuka sana. People are very intelligent. Naweza kuona watu wamenyamaza. Unafikiria tu wako tu pale hakuna kitu wanajua. Unawadanganya, wanakuangalia tu. They don't say anything. Especially hii watu ya hii Mlima Kenya. Kama wataki wewe unajua wasemi. They just keep quiet. Ukiona hii watu ya Mlima Kenya wamenyamaza na hawaongei, hawakupigii kelele, hawasemi wewe kwenda, wamenyamaza tu. Wa Kenya. Kama wataki wewe unajua wasemi. They just keep quiet. Ukiona hii watu ya Mlima Kenya wamenyamaza na hawaongei, hawakupigii kelele, hawasemi wewe kwenda,
Now, a section of Azimio One Kenya coalition leaders have rallied behind Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to take up the stewardship of the outfit after senior leaders in the Raila Odinga-led Orange Democratic Movement ODM party were appointed to President William Ruto's cabinet. Speaking in Embu, the team that included Musyoka, the Democratic Action Party of Kenya party leader Eugene Wamalwa, and Jubilee party's Jeremiah Kioni affirmed they have embarked on preparing a formidable strategy to employ in the 2027 general elections. The team further indicated that Azimio would not fold or join the government should Raila's bid to become the next African Union Commission chairperson materialize. This even as ODM leaders denied accusations that they had joined the Kenya Kwanza government.
We know that these people are desperate. They cannot wait to raid the people's pockets again. We know they want to introduce road tolls.
Yes.
Well, I want to tell Ruto and his people, if you want to bring road tolls again, please go build your own house, your own roads, not the ones that Kibaki and Uhuru built, and then you can introduce the tolling. For example, the Thika superhighway, Kibaki and us gave the people of this region ability to get to their farms and to their respective places. If you introduce a road toll on Thika superhighway, what are you trying to do? You are raiding further the people's pockets.
Those of us in Azimio who have chosen to join this government, because now, even if they were trying to hide it, they have come out. We have seen them make very bold statements. Some are saying, oh, Ruto is not that bad now that he has given us a very good position in his government. And they are saying they are not going to fight this government because they are now part of this government. We are saying, and we stand here before you, that we are not party to that. We will not join the Ruto government, and we will stand with the people and remain the people's loyal opposition.
Our leader of Azimio is with us here, and we'll be with him. He has been with us in many places, and we'll continue going. My party leader Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta his mind is also clear. Aliambia watu wa dunia hii hasa hapa Mount Kenya, msiungane, msiende kwa UDA, kuna shida. Sasa hawezi kuwa yeye ndio anaambia mtu mwingine asiende waungane naye kwa serikali. You just need to add 1 + 1. There's no way he will be those double speaks are not good for leadership. They are in UDA and we are not there. Uhuru has not instructed any of us to go and join a government that is unconstitutional.
Na wengine wakasema ya kuwa sijui mambo ya wheelbarrow, mambo ni mimi nikasema ya kuwa wale jamaa wanahitaji machungwa wapate vitamin. Sisi hatuko katika serikali, na mimi naomba Sir Charles Badi na wabunge wengine, be firm, be agile katika kazi yenu katika bunge. Mukiona mambo yanaenda hivi na hivi, pingeni, musijali hivi wala vile. I can assure you as the deputy party leader of ODM, ODM is not in a coalition with the government of Kenya. ODM has only come out to say ya kwa nyumba inachomeka, munahitaji firemen wetu, endeleeni chukua firemen kwa sababu nyumba ikichomeka tunachomeka sote.
Mliona Mheshimiwa Ruto wiki mzima amekuwa Kisii, lakini nilimwambia vizuri kwamba ndugu yangu Mheshimiwa Ruto, sisi kama ODM hatuko katika serikali yako. Ile kitu tumefanya, tumepewa askari kidogo walinde amani, warudishe uchumi vizuri. Wacha niwaulize, tuko na askari Somalia, tuko na askari kule Haiti. Tumebadilika, tumekuwa Haiti kweli? Tumegeuka, tumekuwa Somalia? Tumebaki kuwa Kenya. Na sisi kando na Mbadi, kando na Obaranya, kando na Opio na Joe kuingia katika serikali ile kusaidia Mheshimiwa William Ruto, sisi kama ODM tumesimama kama chama cha ODM. Niseme ya kwamba Azimio tuko imara. Azimio tuko imara, na Azimio, we have not joined the government of William Samoei Ruto. Ama nyinyi mtaka kuingia huko? Mtaka kuingia huko?
Now, President William Ruto has defended the new university funding model, emphasizing its consideration for students' varying levels of vulnerability. Speaking during the University of East African Baraton graduation ceremony in Nandi County, the head of state indicated that the country needs a funding model that is not focused on the university, but on the student.
We had students waiting for almost 2 years before they could join university. When I became Minister for Higher Education, I decided that it was time to eliminate this challenge that had been with us for a long time, and nobody wanted to make the decision because it was difficult. When I made that decision and provided the leadership for us to get out of that conundrum, I received a lot of flack. But because it was the right decision, we implemented it. Today, many of our students are beneficiaries, that they can complete their higher education this year and join university next year. And we stopped the hemorrhage in our education system of many students who, staying at home for 2 years, ended up getting married and ended up not pursuing higher education. I am also persuaded that we need a funding model that is not focused on the university, but focused on the student. A funding model that will not leave any child in Kenya behind. A funding model that recognizes that there are children from vulnerable families. I don't think it is correct for all of us to assume that we are all the same and that students from vulnerable families don't need affirmative action. They do. And that is why, in this new model, we are increasing scholarship and loan for students from vulnerable families from 80% to 95%. I am persuaded that it is the right thing to do. As it was difficult before, so it is now, but the right decisions need to be made anyway. We will celebrate them further down the road.
All right, let's take a look at the dailies and what is making headlines this morning. On the Standard, the headline reads, Terror Squads, Ruto unleashed on Gen Z. Terror Squads, Ruto unleashed on Gen Z. The Standard can reveal the men who infiltrated the protests by youthful Kenyans are trained to take down terrorists. They use cars without number plates and clad in balaclavas and hoods to conceal their identity. So that is the headline on top of the page. That also reads, the unit that was formed by bringing together police officers and NIS, that is the National Intelligence Service officers, designated to fight terror is at 2 units. And the number of 50 youths have been killed by police during the protests against poor governance. And that is a story that is on page 8, which puts a reflection perhaps on the demonstrations that were witnessed in the country for the better part of June. Intense demonstrations, you call it, the number of deaths reported, the concerns raised over ununiformed police officers that are masked, officers that are unarmed but clearly using a lot of force to arrest demonstrators. And so the High Court ruled that police officers must wear name tags and identifiable service numbers during demonstrations. This ruling has triggered many revelations that shed light on the disturbing activities of a covert unit within the police and within the NIS, initially designated to combat terrorism, but allegedly repurposed to suppress political dissent. Now, it is not secret that, during demonstrations, especially when it's on, political issues, we see a lot of Subarus, as they call it, as well as, vehicles without number plates. We look at people that, with weapons or armed with guns but do not have police uniforms who are on the streets. And of course that raises questions on whether we have rogue police officers on the streets or we have people that have been, released by leaders in office, high office, political offices to come and make those particular arrests. Also on the backdrop of very many allegations of persons that were arrested within their homes, who have been tortured, and those are, claims that are public out there. And so ban on disguised police lifts lead on security agencies, killer squads, and that is the headline on top of the Standard this morning. Also, sidelined heroes behind the growth of Eldoret town to a city, rewriting history as 22 individuals, among them athletes, philanthropists, and farmers, were awarded state honors for their distinguished services that led to the growth of Eldoret. Residents, however, say there are men and women who are not awarded, but their effort in multiple fields help shape the city. This includes the late Jackson Kibor, Kipchoge Keino, who's a sports personality, Ruben Chesira, who's a politician and a businessman, as well as Kite Arap Tiren, who's a prominent farmer. And so this, of course, comes on the backdrop of Eldoret town being, awarded that city status, which happened last week, where President William Ruto launched or was at the forefront of putting that particular public seal to officially make Eldoret sitting. Also, Mwangaza to face MCAs again as Senate begins censure probe, and this will of course be one of the basis of our conversations this morning around Kawira Mwangaza'S time in office. 2 years, 3 impeachment motions, woes and ending woes for that matter. Then love never lost between herself and members of the county assembly, and the question really on what does this mean for her leadership at this point onwards, as well as for the 2 years that we've seen this back and forth between the Senate and her county assembly, and is this agenda issue that is rising up? We'll be having a conversation around that as well. Now to the Daily Nation, let's look at the page this morning that speaks of stalled reforms plunge schools into confusion. Stalled reforms plunge schools into confusion. Now, the concern is 11 bills were drafted but were never presented to cabinet. And more than a year after the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms report was launched, many of the recommendations are yet to be implemented. The situation has affected government funding for education and operations within the crucial sector. So 11 bills were drafted but never presented to cabinet, and this follows, the report, I'd call it committee actually, the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms Committee, which was put up to be able to not only look into the CBC curriculum, but largely the education sector and what ails this particular sector. So there are still stalled reforms which are plunging school into confusion on whether or not, there's a bill, will the acts come into play, what is the way forward. And so the report launched in 2023, proposals have never been presented to cabinet for approval or tabling in parliament. And you're looking at 11 bills, and this includes the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Bill, the Kenya National Qualifications Framework Amendment Bill, the Tertiary Education Placement and Funding Bill. Are you also looking at the Tertiary Education Placement and Funding Bill, the Kenya Literature Bureau Amendment Bill, and the Kenya National Examination Council Amendment Bill of 2024. Also gathering dust is the sensational paper on a policy framework for education reforms in Kenya 2024. It seeks to define the policy that has guided the reforms in the education sector. So not only are we looking at funding problems within schools, we are also looking at the university funding model, to which the head of state has really been out trying to drum support for. And it's a question on, have the public understood what the education model is about, as well as the framework and the channels, the system that has been put up in place. Does it fully fund this education level without any gaps witnessed? So that is the headline on the Daily Nation. It also speaks of Oginde's fate as EACC boss, now in President's hand, when the National Assembly's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, that is JLAC, on July 31st met to hear from stakeholders on proposed changes to the EACC Act. A plot was hatched to end Bishop David Oginde's term as the anti-graft boss barely a year into office. The meeting was set to attract controversy as it drastically changed academic qualifications required to be EACC chairperson. The legislators and the DPP, whose office has clashed with the anti-graft agency that has protested state prosecutors' withdrawal of high corruption cases, back law change to alter qualifications to lead the EACC. So Oginde's fate as EACC boss, now in President's hand, as the education qualifications for one to be EACC chairperson has been changed. Also, why Ruto could replace Raila as Mount Kenya's boogeyman in 2027, that is on the political issues. Will Ruto be the man that, will most likely be a Raila 2.0, as we've witnessed over the years, where they do not vote for Raila Odinga, or at least the numbers say that. And so will Ruto replace Raila as Mount Kenya's boogeyman? And then finally, on the Star newspaper that speaks of audit and arts financial rot at the sports fund, audit and arts financial rot at the sports fund. Now, more than 5.4 billion shillings was not supported by expenditure returns. More than 5.4 billion shillings was not supported by expenditure returns. And that is a story that is on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning, that speaks of audit digs up financial decay at sports fund. Now, unaccounted 3.7 billion shillings in disbursements, unexplained 162 million shillings Safari Rally cash, unexplained 1.3 billion disbursement to the Ministry of Health, unsupported 324 million shillings, irregular Safari Rally insurance tender award, irregular fuel expenses, questionable 256 million shillings in pending bills. So we've got millions and billions of shillings that is unaccounted for, and that is a revelation by the Auditor General. And so Audit and Arts Financial wrote at the Sports Fund, as well as top of the page, President Ruto receives second doctorate, and that is while he was at the University of East Africa, Baraton, in Nandi County yesterday during the university's 42nd graduation ceremony, as well as day of reckoning as Governor Mwangaza'S faces her accusers. So those are the headlines on top of the pages this morning. That is on the Standard, the Star, and the Daily Nation. All right, so at that point, allow us to take a quick breather, but when we come back, we'll be getting into the conversation this morning around the state of the nation and the affairs in the country. How is Kenya looking like this morning, especially in Meru County, and much more making headlines. We'll be back shortly with that conversation.
Into the credentials of the persons, you know. So it is an issue of the scope of her office, the scope of the boards that are supposed, that are mandated to deal with the work. If we narrow down the work of the governor to the issues of hiring and firing, then the constitution, literally, even the Meru MCAs will be abusing the constitution, because that is not the work of Mwangaza'S.
Right.
When they say the issue of gross misconduct, I would want somebody to look into the dictionary today, Cynthia, even you included, the definition of gross misconduct. When your acts are contrary or prejudicial to your employer, how has she grossly misconducted herself? We should not just pick up English words to justify a crowd. We need literally to narrow down on how.
Yeah.
The how. How did she do it? So I would not want to preempt that discussion of what the MCAs, the Kenya has. But we would want to analyze what facts that have been put across so that we can analyze
the evidence.
The evidence that have been adduced, so that we know, in essence, yes, Mwangaza'S has grossly not been inappropriate in her office.
Right.
That's three. The abuse of, the constitutional. How did she violate the constitution? Let us see how she has violated the constitution. I will not want to bring this discussion here, Cynthia. But last time, she was accused, among others, of hiring her sisters.
Yeah.
Did they bring the birth certificates to prove that Cynthia was a sister to Kawira? No, it was just discussions. So we are seeing a group of MCAs that are just idle, that are not doing their work. They are too free. They have a lot of time on their hands to literally narrow down on, I will not want to call them petty issues, but to not deal with substantive issues. We have major issues ailing the Meru County.
Yeah.
You want to tell me, Cynthia, that we already done with the major issues affecting Meru County, that only what is remaining is the conduct of the office of the governor? We need to be very, very active on the ground, listen to what is happening on the ground, work on what we've been mandated to do. The MCAs have been mandated to do 3 core activities, in essence 4, but let's narrow down to 3. The oversighting, the representation, and the registration. You want to tell me that they already done with the scope of the 3, that it's only narrowing down, what is only missing? It's only now the activities of Mwangaza'S?
Yeah.
No. Lastly, Cynthia, leadership. When the church has been touched, we find a lot of church leadership will come out in public to either castigate or defend the church. When the Meru County have been in the limelight for the wrong reasons for 3 consecutive periods, have we seen Meru leaders coming up together to castigate, to hold brief, to try to reconcile? The answer is in public domain. Do we have an external hand that is trying to manage the MCAs so that they can kick out a governor? You know, these are some of the questions that are in the public domain. Do we have custom issues that the Meru men cannot be, the Meru community cannot be headed by a female? Way back in the 1973, we had a Meru MP who is, she is rate. She was hounded out of office, again in the National Assembly. Are we trying to bring in some historical issues that the Meru leadership cannot be read by a female? So these are some of the issues are in the public domain that Kenyans would want literally to listen to.
Right, and we'll come to the gender issues, because I'd call it gender issues, looking at some of the footage that was played at the floor of the Senate last time, and they were quite disturbing footages, because you'd listen to what a man is saying about, you know, the leadership of Kawira. But I'd love to go back to this county assembly, because one of the bases of why that impeachment didn't go through last time was because their allegations were unsubstantiated. There was no evidence, as you've said, there were no facts that, you know, she had done this, she had misappropriated funds, she had gone against the Constitution, she had violated the Constitution. And so is the problem just within the Meru County Assembly? And what exactly do the MCAs benefit by putting yet again another impeachment motion against Kawira?
They benefit in terms of loss of service to Wajiko, because Wajiko in Meru is not getting the services that are supposed to be delivered to Wajiko.
Yeah.
The day that they are voting the impeachment, the day that they did, the day that they literally held the impeachment motion, the house was full. But if for commoners who've been trying to follow what is happening in the county, at other times when we have very important discussions to be dealt with, the house is not full. So are we trying to say that our appearance in the Senate, our appearance in the county assembly will only be when we want to impeach the governor, and when we are called to deliver the services that Wajiko needs, the same MCAs will not be available? We would want even the hazard. I wish the Speaker of the Senate will call for the hazard of the county assembly. Let us see into the attendance of these MCAs. Let us see into the bills that have been passed. Let us see the activities of the MCAs. You see, we want also to evaluate, to monitor the progress of the MCAs in the county assembly. One time last year, there was a debate in the Senate when the Nairobi senator requested whether they could have a process of impeaching. Now the whole of Meru Assembly, why? We're looking into people who are not actually serious in delivery of their services.
Whose mandate is that? To go with the county assembly.
The wananchi Wajiko from Meru can pick signatures to dissolve, to request the president to dissolve the county. We saw one time when Kivuda Kibwana, the first governor Makueni, when the MCAs came up and literally refused to pass bills, he corrected signatures, forwarded the same signatures to the president, the late President Kibaki. The matter was resolved. So even Wajiko from Meru, you can still pick up that direction. That is one way. Two, the other way could be the Senate making proposal to the president to dissolve the county assembly. It's against the stipulated in law. So it could be a dual way. Wajiko residents from Meru could request the president, pick up the necessary signatures and forward the same to the president with a memorandum and a petition. Kaidre deal with the county assembly.
Yeah, from where you sit at this point in time, because it's just 2 years of Kawira's, administration, and she's gone through 3 impeachment motions, which basically paints a picture of if they're not able to, at least for the MCS, get what they want by impeaching Kawira, then this will be the same scenario for the next 3 years, and who knows how many impeachment motions that will be. But from where you sit, is the dissolution of the county assembly the right way to go? Is this the proper direction, if at all the people of Meru are to get service from the leaders they elected into office?
In essence, Cynthia, this is not the third. This is total. There are 5 times that the Meru governor has tried to be impeached. 2 are questioned in court. Then 3 are the ones that are now come with the third one coming to the Senate.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if we cannot deliver our services to Ajiko the whole way, let us take the bull by the horn. Let us face the bull by the horn. We can equally deal with the dissolution of the Meru County. 5 impeachment motions in 2 years translates to how many months? Like 4 months for every 4 months. So in essence, this county has not been working. So if you've been sitting burning the midnight oil 5 times for 2 years, 2 years is only Cynthia. These are 365 days times 2. This is about 600 and 700 days. So if you divide 5 motions for 700 days, so they only wait for about 200 days, and then they are gone. So in essence, we have a very idle county assembly.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So they bring evidence that is not substantiated according to the Senate, and we've seen cases where they've also refused to have any, meeting with the county governor. And so there's basically no love lost. And this is right from the start of when she got into office, which begs the question, are they abusing the Constitution itself, the MCAs themselves? Yes, they've been granted that power by the Constitution. They're able to impeach a governor if and when that case comes up. But if you look at the history of Kenya ever since the 2010 Constitution, it's a question of how many governors have actually been impeached, less than even 5. And so are they themselves abusing the powers that have been given to them by the Constitution? Precisely,
Cynthia. They are the ones that need to be impeached because they are literally abusing the powers granted to them by the Constitution, that they do not want to work, they just want to expedite some discussions that are not within the corridors of the Meru County Assembly. What is this that is airing the County Assembly? What is this that is airing? Are there issues that cannot be resolved? Are there issues that cannot be resolved through mediations, through implementations, through... Last time they had the issue of the world development levy. It was not there in the Constitution, it has not been provided. But she, on the floor of the Senate, mentioned that she had implemented a 10 million per ward. Yet that is not within the Constitution, but she had wired that amount of money. Yeah. So that the same can be expedited, made use by the wards. This time round, what is this that they are fighting her? Kawira, are you trying to communicate? Kawira Mwangaza'S, are you trying to communicate to the public what is ailing you? Because again, when push comes to the shove, Cynthia mentioned to the public, this is what is ailing you. Don't die alone. Let members of the public also get a feel of what you're going through. Don't be held hostage, because this is an issue of being held hostage. Is this the only county in the country, out of the 47 counties, that we have major issues? Only in the start today, we've seen 5.4 billion being misused by the sports, the former CS sports or the sports ministry. We have major issues that are touching on Wajiko. So petty issues of impeachment, they make Kenyans to get scared of what's happening in Meru. Right. Look at what happened in the last assembly. When it was in black and white, the kind of remarks, the kind of songs that had been set up, the kind of external forces that had been that were being exerted by outsiders in terms of to the MCAs. Is this what is replaying itself? Then to me, the Meru, the MCAs in the County Assembly of Meru need to have a second thought before 190 wakes up in the morning and decides to call off the whole to call off the whole assembly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just for the benefit of our audience, let me just go through the case and some of the accusations that have been labeled up against Mwangaza. Now, she's accused of revoking the appointment of Virginia Miriti as the secretary of the Meru County Public Service Board. She's accused of failing to appoint the chairpersons of the Meru County Revenue Board. The governor is accused of refusing to implement recommendations of assembly to dismiss the county secretary, Dr. Kiambi Dhambura. She's also accused of illegally dismissing the CEO of the County Revenue Board, the CEO of the Liquor Board, the Managing Director of Meru Microfinance Corporation. She's accused of giving false information that 86 million shillings had been raised through a pay bill number established after the murder of Daniel Muthiani, while the correct position is 286,000. She's accused of irregularly paid emergency call allowances to 161 doctors, is accused of using a manual payroll to pay personnel emoluments amounting to 102.9 million. She's accused of employing 111 personal staff in the office of the county governor, contributing to the increased wage bill by more than 500 million shillings. And finally, she's accused of paying Christas Manyara, a public communication officer in the office of the governor, full salary while in remand facing murder charges. So these are some of the, cases, or at least the report that has come from the Meru County Assembly through the Meru County Assembly Speaker to the Speaker of the Senate, that is Amason Kingi, on why exactly they are impeaching her. Now, let's speak about the political muscle of an MCA and just the number of times it is expected that a governor may be impeached from the start to the end. Do the county assemblies, or at least the Meru MCAs, have that kind of political muscle to instigate this kind of motion? There have been allegations that somebody bigger is fighting Kawira and just using the MCAs as a vessel to impeach her.
I'm seeing the use of another hand, trying to bring down the leadership of Kawira Mwangaza'S. From the allegations that you've read, Cynthia,
yeah.
Some of them you can outright, even before they reach Amason Kingi, you can still throw them out. Like failing to account for 96 million when you received 286,000. Was the pay bill registered in her name? Who was the accounting officer? Who was the accounting officer in charge of receiving that amount of money? If Cynthia today you are given a statement to read, you are told that 96 million have been corrected, you are not the accounting officer. Hold responsible to the person literally who corrected that amount of money. Payment of salary to a person in jail, in raw, Cynthia,
right.
you are presumed to be innocent until proved guilty. The Employment and Labor Act stipulates that you are supposed to receive half salary. So are they saying that we should not employ the statutes of the Employment and Labor Act so that this person who has been accused should not receive half salary? Kawira Mwangaza'S is not the author of the Employment and Labor Act.
Yeah.
Let her carry her own cross. On what you've asked, Cynthia. There's a lot of political inclination. That were displayed last time, and they are still even now being mentioned. We have very strong forces in that region.
Yeah.
We have a whole CS from that region. How is he trying to deal with the matters in his background? Even last time, we saw when the cows were delivered in a village near his place, they were slaughtered. Did he act? Yes. What did he do? He asked an OCS to confine the governor in a police Red Rover.
So essentially, there's the CSs who have been appointed from that region have the power to also save her.
True. not sever, but mediate. We could use a better word, mediate. Because in essence, even you as a Rayman, you can tell that there are already hitches in the allegations that are being put across. Now, if you can tell that there's an issue, Cynthia, is on at ABN, won't you not mediate and try to bring forth what is the truth and not truth? Why won't you not call up the warring functions and bring them on board? When the High Court last week but one, requested jury Jeke to mediate on the same, there were two functions. One group said we are willing, the other group said we are not willing. You know, it's a bit logic. When other regions are consolidating their voice, where the group from the Ruo Nyanza have a sitting, they talk in one voice. And the elders from New Ruo Nyanza will always call the warring functions and bring them on board. The Kikuyu the same. Why won't Jury Jeke literally manage issues from their own background?
Right.
Do we have a leadership issue with the whole of the Meru region? Because it can be seen from the Jury Jeke. If you cannot mediate on small issues, then you are not supposed to be in that office. Then your mandates are failing, because what is the work of a CRAN? The work of the CRAN is to sit down with the members, call them when they are worrying, let them discuss the issues that are affecting them, and come out, provide solution, provide leadership. So we are seeing political forces not willing to provide the leadership. We are seeing CRANs not willing to provide the leadership and taking sides. Now, when they decide to take sides, they leave the governor vulnerable.
Right.
And that is why we are fighting this push and pull.
Yeah, well, previously the deputy president even tried to intervene, met the Meru County Assembly, and even after that, you know, there was still the motion that came back, and he said, you know, he's washed his hands essentially, which, you know, paints a picture of, you know, as a deputy president, you know, you are the deputy party leader of the ruling party. Some of this, actually majority of these MCAs are through that office, through the UDA party. So when you come back with getting into just the conduct of the MCAs as well, are they willing and able and even ready to sit and listen and you know, talk with other leaders who are willing to mediate? So we take that break. We'll be back shortly with that conversation. Keep your feedback coming in through online. I'll be sampling them when we return. And so Meru essentially doesn't seem ready to have a female governor. They elected her, yes, she was an independent candidate, yes, but if you look at just the intricacies around it, it seems like there are some who are just not ready for the leadership of women in the county.
It is worrying, Cynthia, at this day and age, with the equality bills and the platforms, the civic education that have been done to sensitize the members of public of the leadership that can be provided by both male and female. So when one county decides to go contrary, then it is worrying. Why? Even on this international faith summit that you're holding today, I've seen from your posters, you have women, you have female speakers. Yes. Even in our families, we still have the nuclear families, the father and the mother. So deliberately faith when Meru, the MCAs decide to choose, because this is deliberate, that you can receive leadership from church led by, say, women, you can listen to the preachings, but when it comes to leadership, the political leadership, you are not willing, then you must be suffering from something else. It is important to embrace each other. Even for the male leaders that are there, when you go to vote, Cynthia, we do not have a queue for the female. We do not have gender queues. We have votes. And the votes are either male or female. Yeah. So in essence, when you're looking for votes, you do not want it to isolate that I'm not looking for the female votes. I'm looking for the male votes. To the members of Meru County, to the members of the county assembly from Meru, you are voted by both male and female. In your vote, even for the MCAs, on the queue, at the ballot box, it is not only the male that participated in voting you. So in essence, we have somebody who is suffering from selective thinking. and selective reasoning out, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Because if at all you can receive votes from, you can get yourself voted by, elected by the female, you do not want to be read by female. Then something literally must be wrong.
Yeah.
They are sending wrong reasons. They are sending wrong signals to the female of this country. That yes, you need our votes, but you do not want to be read by female. Come 2027, what do you think the scenario will be? For the MCAs who voted out, if this impeachment motion goes through, they'll still go back to the Wajiko from Meru. What do you think the Meru women will feel? That you as male, we voted you in, and you kicked out one of our own. You know, it has wrong reasons.
Right.
To me, I'm praying for sobriety to the leadership of the county assembly. It is not right. Even when she goes through the Senate, it is not right. Kindly think through what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because for every choice, there is consequence.
Yes.
And these are the consequences that you'll meet on the ground. That Cynthia, yes, you want my vote, but you do not want my representation. You only want me to vote you in, but you do not want to vote me in. You'll be sending wrong signals.
Right.
I'm happy when the G7 stood by Kawira Mwangaza'S. But to me, I would have wanted more than standing with her.
Not just press statements.
Not just pressers. Don't issue pressers. Mediate. Waiguru, you've been there for 2 sessions, 2 terms. Go to Meru County.
And even gone through a session as well.
Even you, she has gone through.
Yeah.
Even you know how it felt. Why won't you not have called the Meru County Assembly? Sit down with them. What are the key issues that are ailing you? Don't issue a press conference only when it's in Machakos. Because she only issued this because there was a session in Machakos.
Yeah.
Let's assume worst case scenario, there was no session in Machakos. You want to say she will not have talked? We need a lot of now support each other, the support to each other. If it is an issue of supporting the ready leadership, go out all the way. Don't go for when it's reasonably right to deal with it. Finally, I pray that God in heaven will look into the issues that are ailing the Meru County. Deal with the external forces that are ailing the Meru County. Before we went for a break, when the deputy president called the MCAs to his residence, this is the same period that he was also going through, because we need to be truthful to ourselves, India. Yeah. That he also facing another share of his own fate.
Yeah.
Do you think that time calling them would have amounted to anything? On one side, you are being fought. So, do you have the audacity to call and give leadership when, in essence, even you yourself,
your house is on fire?
Your house is on fire.
Yeah.
This time round, the deputy president have not spoken anything.
Yeah.
But in his wise leadership, and going by the things, how things have been going, it's also appropriate that he also calls into the leadership of the county assembly, asking them to tone down their languages. Call the elected members of parliament, some of them who are very hostile. Remember, India, even if we fail to recognize these messages, we had the Kiferi movement. The Kiferi movement is the one that is used to cook uji. And one vocal MP was the author of the Kiferi movement. Are we seeing an incarnation of the Kiferi movement? Whereby the women are castigated in public. And even there's so much that is holding the Meru County. The chair of NCIC, Kobe himself, is from Meru. And the issues of hate speech, during all those seasons and periods, Cynthia, he did not prosecute that favorite MP. Don't you think we are fighting more of the male ego, trying to outweigh the Constitution? Hate speech was spelled out clearly in Meru. The National Cohesion Chair, Kobe himself, what did he do or what did he say? He kept quiet. So on one side you can act on the utterances of Farah Maalim, but on one side you cannot act on utterances from your own background. Cynthia, we have a problem in the Meru County when it comes to leadership.
Right.
We have wrong people reading the right people.
All right, so as we wrap this conversation up, let's talk about the consequences that you've said and the perception of women leadership and just the ripple effects this has on anyone that might want to go for the governorship position in the next elections and things. Okay, so I'm going to have to deal with the woes or what just is ailing a county in terms of development, etc. and everything, but at the same time, I need to also know how to keep the county assembly in check. And so what does this impeachment have, what sort of perception does it bring about women's leadership, despite the fact that she, in her own right, Kawira, could be the best, leader we have, or one of the best leaders in the country, arguably. And so what sort of perception does it put up about women's leadership in the country?
It is worrying to the candidates that will position themselves for elective positions. Because if this is only what an indicator, then we are sorry to say, even if we had we had Cynthia vying for the president of this country, Cynthia will not be voted. Because a lot of cards will be brought on call. There are for your husband. Because Kawira has an issue with men who feel that she loves the husband more.
Yeah.
The issue of inferiority complex. The issue of myths and beliefs that are outdated. Are Kenyans willing to embrace women leadership in Kenya? I believe yes. It is only some selected regions that have false beliefs that women cannot read. But again, women can give them votes, but women cannot read.
Yeah.
We need literally to have an aggressive campaign before 2027, so that Wajiko can be taught the essence of women leadership, because others have read and performed very well.
Yeah.
And they are there in the public domain. So only this one who is being hounded out of office for political reasons, because she's being hounded for political reasons, for ego, because they feel that a woman cannot talk. Cynthia. Look at what happens in a province I only want to correct the Western province. I will not want to zero in, because the chorus here would fight you. Where women are not even supposed to eat the imodo. Where you are not supposed to eat the chicken.
Yeah.
And the chicken is only supposed to be eaten by one person. Don't you think that is harassing? We have some customs today that are detrimental in terms of this day and age, that you want to bring them on board, yet on the other side, though, you want to forget, we need to have that broad way of thinking in terms of how do we position our thinking. Can Cynthia be a principal in a high school? Yes. Can Cynthia read in terms of religion? Yes. Can Cynthia provide leadership in politics? Yes. Can Cynthia provide leadership in her house? Yes. So if you can do the yes, if you can qualify for the yes, then I think the women and men are equal in terms of providing leadership.
Yeah.
Let this, as county assemblies who deem women not ready to read them, have second thoughts. Because when it comes to 2027, members from the female, if the way to go today is how you're holding out Kawira Mwangaza'S, then it will be a different story altogether.
A different story.
Who are the majority voters? Who are the majority voters? So if you want that discussion to go on that way, where I come from, I do not want to say where I come from. Our men are as drunk as early as 5 in the morning. You don't expect sober leadership from that place. So the person who will go to vote will only be the woman. Yet, you do not want to appreciate the leadership of that vote.
Right.
Let us be inclusive. let us be friendly, let us allow mediation to come in place. To the Senate Assembly, kindly use sobriety when you are dealing with the impeachment of Kawira Mwangaza'S. Don't send wrong signals to the voters of this country because they will retaliate. And even you, as members of the Senate, you feel it very, very hard when you deal with this matter wrongly. We are waiting to see the cases that will be presented. You analyze the issues that have been brought on board, see whether they hold water or otherwise, and if they do not hold water or otherwise, Cynthia, I'll be part of that group that will petition the president to dissolve the Meru Assembly. Yes.
So as we wrap it up, we're expecting today that there will be a pre-hearing conference before Meru County Assembly's MCA present their case to support the impeachment, and then tomorrow it will be Governor Kawira Mwangaza'S day, where she's said to, or she'll be given an opportunity to actually defend herself against these allegations. You've called on the Senate to, act diligently. Much like the courts, the Senate is not a flow of hearsays because everything you're saying is under oath, basically. And so, what do you expect the MCAs to present? What should be in that presentation that you might also sit back and say, okay, they've got a point. What should be in it?
I expect watertight case against. I'm not for Kawira Mwangaza'S if she's on the wrong. I would want watertight cases against any abuser of the Constitution. I would want solid facts against gross misconduct. I want real reasons on how she violated the Constitution. I will not want anybody to waste the taxpayers' money going to the Senate on hearsay, innuendos, and a lot of being ignorant. No. Let there be substantiated facts. They've been through the Senate 2 times. They've also run their reason. Let them now go to what they've been asked. If in essence there is nothing that can substantiate impeachment of Kawira Mwangaza'S, I'm praying for the leadership of the Senate today. I mean, when they are done with their findings, if they decide to hold against the impeachment, let them write to the president to dissolve the County Assembly of Meru.
All right. Thank you very much, Joyce Mamahi, who's a political analyst, for coming in this morning to just shed more light on this particularly interesting process that we have been, it's not just Meru that is going through, but the country as a whole that we are, witnessing this kind of process, and we'll wait to see what exactly the MCAs will be presenting as their case at the floor of the Senate, which is a special sitting actually because the Senate is on recess, so they'll be called for a special sitting today and tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Governor Kawira Mwangaza'S turn to defend herself against those accusations. Will she survive for the 3rd time? How many lives does she have to survive? So that is why I want to put a full stop to this conversation today. But the conversation keeps on going across our social media platforms. That is on EBN TV. The hashtag is Morning Live. Give us your feedback, your views, your thoughts concerning some of these issues that we've been able to highlight for you this morning. And we'd love to engage with you. So I wrap it up at that point. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Have yourselves a wonderful morning. See you at the International Faith Summit. Blessed morning.